All right, so this is day 4, part 2. So still the same chapter, still the same stem. When the book said, I thought this was an important detail because this helps me understand. So we're still doing that stem and you're still adding to your characters list about your characters. So here we go. Esperanza smiled because when the grapes delivered their harvest, she always turned another year. And this year, she would be 13. The picking would take 3 weeks. And then, like every other year, Mama and Papa would host a fiesta for the harvest and for her birthday. Maricel Rodriguez, her best friend, would come with her family to celebrate. Her father was a fruit rancher and they lived on the neighboring property. And even though their houses were acres apart, they met every Saturday beneath the home oak on a rise between the two ranches. Her other friends, Tuta and Bertina, would be at the party too, but they lived farther away and Esperanza didn't see them as often. Their classes at St. Francis didn't start again until after the harvest. She couldn't wait to see them. When they were all together, they talked about one thing, their quinceañeras, the presentation parties they would have when they turned 15. They still had 2 more years to wait, but so much to discuss. The beautiful white gowns they would wear, the big celebrations where they would be presented, and the sons of the richest families who would dance with them. After, they would be old enough to be courted, marry, and become Las Patronas, the head of their household, rising to the positions of their mothers before them. Esperanza preferred to think, though, that she and her someday husband would live with her mama and papa forever, because she couldn't imagine living anywhere other than El Rancho de la Rosa, or with any fewer servants, or without being surrounded by the people who adored her. So if we stop and talk about how she's super excited and she can't wait for her birthday, so they throw a fiesta for the harvest and for her birthday, what's important about Esperanza as a character? What are you learning? And what details did you learn about her? So when the book said that Mama and Papa throw a huge fiesta for the harvest and for Esperanza's birthday, I thought this was an important detail because this helps you understand. It had taken every day of 3 weeks to put the harvest to bed, and now everyone anticipated this celebration. Esperanza remembered Mama's instructions as she gathered roses from Papa's garden. Tomorrow, bouquets of roses and baskets of grape on every table. Papa had promised to meet her in the garden, and he never disappointed her. She bent over to pick a red bloom, fully opened, and pricked her finger on a vicious thorn. Big pearls of blood pulsed from the tips of her thumb, and she automatically thought, bad luck. She quickly wrapped her hand in the corner of her apron and dismissed the premonition. Then she cautiously clipped the brown rose that had blown away rose that had wounded her. Looking towards the horizon, she saw the last of the sun disappear behind the Sierra Madre. Darkness would settle quickly, and the feeling of uneasiness and worry nagged at her. Where was her papa? He had left early that morning with the Vaquers to work the cattle, and he was always home before sundown, dusty from the mesquite grassland and stamping his feet on the patio to get rid of the dusty, crusty dirt on his boots. Sometimes he even brought beef jerky that the cattleman had made, but Esperanza had always had to find it first, searching his shirt pockets while he hugged her. Tomorrow was her birthday, and she knew that she would be serenaded at sunrise. Papa and the men who lived on the ranch would congregate below her window, their rich, sweet voices singing the birthday song. She would run to her window and wave kisses to Papa and the others. Then downstairs she would open her gifts. She knew there would be a porcelain doll from Papa. He had given her one every year since she was born, and Mama would give her something she had made, linens, camisoles, or a blouse embroidered with beautiful needlework. The linens always went into a trunk at the end of her bed for someday. Esperanza's thumb would not stop bleeding. She picked up the basket of roses and hurried from the garden, stopping on the patio to rinse her hand in the stone fountain. As the water soothed her, she looked through the massive wooden gates that opened onto thousands of acres of Papa's land. Esperanza strained her eyes to see a dust cloud. That meant riders were near and that Papa was finally home. But she saw nothing. In the dusky light, she walked around the courtyard to the back of the large adobe and wood house. There she found Mama searching the horizon. "Mama, my finger, an angry thorn stabbed me," Esperanza said. "Bad luck," said Mama, confirming the superstition. But she half smiled. They both knew bad luck could mean nothing more than dropping a pan of water or breaking an egg. Mama put her arms around Esperanza's waist, and both sets of eyes swept over the corrals, stables, and the servants' quarters that sprawled in the distance. Esperanza was almost as tall as Mama, and everyone said she would someday look just like her beautiful mother. Sometimes, when Esperanza twisted her hair on top of her head and looked to the mirror, she could see that it was almost true, that there was some black hair, wavy and thick, that same dark lashes and fair, creamy skin, but it wasn't precisely Mama's face because Papa's eyes were there too, shaped like fat, brown almonds. "He's just a little bit late," said Mama, and part of Esperanza's mind believed her, but the other part scolded him. "Mama, the neighbors warned him just last night about the bandits." Mama nodded and bit the corner of her lip in worry. They both knew that even though it was 1930 and the revolution in Mexico had been over for 10 years, there was still resentment against the large landowners. "Change has come, but not fast enough, Esperanza. The wealthy still own most of the land, while some of the poor have not even a garden plot. They're cattle grazing on big ranches, yet some peasants are forced to eat cats. Papa's sympathetic and has given land to many of his workers. The people know that. But Mama, do the bandits know that?" "Oh, I hope so," said Mama quietly. "I've already sent Alfonso and Miguel to look for him. Let's wait inside." Okay, so you're going to finish it up with, I think a lot about Papa's character was just given to you in those last 2 pages about what he does for his people. If you need to rewind the video, rewind it and go back and listen. So you should add some more bullets there for him. You should be able to add bullets for Marisol, her best friend. So some information about her. So you should have information about Esperanza, information about Papa, Mama, and Marisol. And then you are going to open up, I created a romanticism chart for you, and I have some information that I would like for you to add to it. The first part of your chart talked about the description of characters. So nature is an extension of man. So how Papa talks about the land and he can feel it breathing and it gives life. I want you to add that detail and information into nature as beauty. That his land is alive. He says that on page 1. That the earth breathes and it has a heartbeat. He says that on page 1 to Esperanza as well. And then that Esperanza's body was also breathing with the earth. And that's on page 3. So this is your Monday assignment.